Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. We are the political pundits. Yes, I heard that right. Political pundits. Today, we're going to be discussing the debate that's going to be happening tomorrow between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. As you all know, it's going to be happening tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be the debate. It's the moment that a lot of people have been looking for. So we're basically just going to be discussing tonight what's going to happen, the debate topics, and what we expect.
Yeah, so first we have the debate topic of Trump and Biden's records. So Trump's records include, the past 4 years where he's been president. So everyone, it's all in recent memory. Everyone can easily refer to this. And then Biden was also vice president for the 8 years before that. So it's also recent and in recent memory. So everyone's
Also,
going
the
to be
200, the 200 years he's been there.
able was that his Senate comments where he's like, "Oh, I've been in the Senate for 180 years."
Talked about that. Obviously, when he was saying that, I depicted that as a joke, so it just doesn't come across that funny, but oh well. So yeah, the next thing here, it's a Supreme Court. So as you all know, Trump has nominated his third Supreme Court justice. What's her name? I forget.
I will get back to you on that.
All right, that doesn't matter. But yeah, he's nominating her to the Supreme Court seat. They're looking to get that in before the election. So basically, ASAP. I believe they said around November 1st. And that's going to be in time, obviously, before the election. So regardless of Trump wins or not, he's going to have a victory in that. And also on November 10th, there's going to be a vote on whether to keep the Affordable Care Act or not. And her being on the court, it's like Amy
Amy
something.
Coney Barrett is who Trump has nominated.
Yep. So that's probably going to have an impact on the Affordable Care Act potentially, but we would have to wait and see what happens.
I I personally don't think they're going to be able to get that nomination through in time. Like normally the Senate just doesn't move that fast. Like they say it takes what 12 days of testimonies of in session testimonies to figure it out. I honestly doubt that's going to be able to go through this time just because the Democrats want to delay this as much as possible. If it's going to happen, they want it to happen after the election just to make the Republicans look as bad as possible, even though they already look bad trying to do this literally 2 days before the election.
Something I actually heard is a way that they might want to try to delay it is since those Trump tax records came out and they have that whole thing with the emoluments clause, I think it's called. They could try to impeach him. Then I think that's going to delay things.
Oh, that would definitely, yeah. But I feel like so there's yes, it would delay the pick, but I feel like that's not beneficial to Joe Biden because Americans are just gonna be like, oh, here we go again. We're kind of sick of this. Even though yes, like he did scam the IRS out of $79 million. And that's still an ongoing fight, which is I'm assuming is why he didn't want his tax returns released. It wouldn't look good for the Democrats if they decide to impeach him.
And the next thing that we have on the chopping block is COVID-19. So that's pretty obvious. It's something we've been dealing with the whole year. If you look at the cases, they're not nearly as high as they were a few months ago, but it's still there. And I kind of feel as though COVID is just starting to fall behind a little bit because people are just kind of getting sick and tired of hearing about it all day.
Although
It's there. There's 200,000 deaths. It's relevant.
Yeah. Although like people don't want to talk about it anymore, like it's still there, and like when they're going to talk about it in the debate, they're going to be bringing up how Trump has mismanaged it. Because if anybody's been watching the news, like a couple weeks ago, it was released that he had clips back in February and March where he revealed that he was intentionally downplaying the virus and he really knew how deadly it was, but continued not to act on it. So that's going to be a very strong point for Joe Biden in this debate because Joe Biden also Joe Biden has a strong policy ready to go where he's present to curb COVID-19, while Trump is probably going to be trying to defend his actions, while Biden's going to be able to step on him for it.
China virus, what they call it, the Kung Flu, likes to make jokes about that. Doesn't really change too many people's minds, but
It still
the
it
next
still
thing
hurts his
pretty much
PR though. At least on the world stage, people, other world leaders and other people in other countries just look down at him, just for like these kinds of comments, because it is inherently racist.
So what we could probably expect from him too is Biden's probably going to come and say, look at how he mismanaged it. 200,000 people died. He refused to wear a mask. He refused to do those basic things that he was preaching. But on the other hand, Trump could say, oh, Biden thought that a ban on China would be xenophobic. And he wouldn't have closed the border to China, which would have resulted in more cases and more deaths. And
But that's where the science is flawed, though, because by the time he actually closed the border to China, the coronavirus was already community spreading in California. Because I remember this specifically all the way back in February or March, whenever that happened, that when he closed the border, there was already one reported case of community spread in California. So it was already here. And that's just the recorded cases, because like a lot of people are asymptomatic. So they could have been here even longer before that without anybody showing any symptoms.
The next thing that's on here too is the economy. So we have an official, I think it's 8% or 8 or 9% unemployment rate. The actual unemployment rate, when you factor in people who are underemployed, who got their wages cut, and who are working less hours, it's probably higher than that.
At least 10 million.
Yeah. And what Trump is probably going to say is, oh, look at me. I had the best economy before, and we're going to build it back up again.
But the problem is, most of the economic policy that has caused the economy to boom was started by Obama. Most of the legislation that Trump has passed, while it hasn't hurt the economy, it hasn't caused it to skyrocket even higher. I mean, what I find also funny is that when the Dow hit 29,000 again recently, literally as soon after Trump tweeted that out, it dropped at least 1,000 points. So, while those might not be related, kind of funny.
So he's just going to pretty much claim, look at your stocks. Your stocks are doing so well, but it doesn't matter. No, most people don't care about the stock market. They care, oh, am I doing better now than I did 4 years ago? And they're gonna basically be voting with their wallets. And Joe Biden, he's going to make the case of, oh, what happened to the stimulus check? Happened to the unemployment benefits? They're gone. And Trump isn't really addressing it. Need to get more stimulus checks out because they don't seem to have a bipartisan deal to deal with that.
Can you explain that actually? Because I haven't really been following it. I know one party keeps blocking the other party, but I didn't know who did it this time. I know at one point it was the Democrats, and I think another point it was the Republicans, but I don't know who's blocking who now. Because I know both of them want to get some sort of stimulus out, but they're not.
So they're pretty much both blocking each other. They're mainly arguing over how much unemployment benefits they're going to get because I think the Democrats want to keep it at 600, but Republicans want to lower it because they're worried, oh, people are going to be reliant on their unemployment and they're going to stay on that unemployment and refuse to go back to work because they're making more off the $600 per week than they would if they went back to their job.
See, but that's a problem. They shouldn't make more from these unemployment than they would if their normal job. Their standard of living and pay should be higher than that, where you wouldn't have to rely on unemployment saving you by paying you more than a regular job.
And I think it was not too long ago that the Democrats just presented in the House a $2.2 trillion stimulus check, and we're just pretty much waiting. Are the Republicans going to cooperate on it? And I bet it's probably not going to compromise.
Yeah, which is really unfortunate, but it's definitely going to be interesting to watch Biden and Trump focus on the debate.
So the next thing is on here is the race and violence in U.S. cities. So as everyone is aware, after all the police brutality incidents, there has been huge violence in a lot of cities, a lot of racial mistrust, a lot of mistrust with the police. These riots have made it to national television. Initially, it was Minneapolis that was burning down, then it spread to all of the other cities.
Rochester. It was in Kentucky after the Breonna Taylor incident. But this is definitely a talking point where Trump is going to lose hard. because all he has been tweeting about this is just law and order in all caps. And if you're like, that's just divisive. That like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. That's straight up divisive talk. You are trying to divide the American people and marginalize a group of people because you're not even acknowledging the reasons why they're rioting, and you're just saying you need to be contained. If he actually addressed the reasons why people were rioting and not be a racist dick, then we wouldn't have these issues. So,
well, what I think is Trump could try to frame this in a certain way. He could say, oh, these cities are run by Democrats. These states that are seeing these huge riots and that are still going on, they're run by Democrats. Portland, run by Democrats. California, New York.
but Kentucky is not run by Democrats.
They have a Democratic governor.
See, but that's just the governor of the state. Like, he doesn't control the city. Like, we had riots in Boston, and our governor is a Republican. And you're going to tell me that it's the governor's fault for the city riots. No, because he's just going to go blame it on either the senators or some sort of high-up authority that's a Democrat instead of the Republican. So he is going to worm his way around and blame anyone who can who's a Democrat. But in reality, it doesn't matter where it is. These are problems in a lot of cities, but not because they're democratically run.
And it looks like the last one is the integrity of the election. So there's this huge debate over transfer of power and the legitimacy of the election, because it looks like right away that Trump is going to challenge the results, which is why he wants to get a Supreme Court justice in, because he wants a full court. We could present his case, challenge mail-in ballots, and hopefully get his way.
See, but he did that in 2016, and it was shot down because there was no evidence. They're still saying, like, some of the lower courts are also rejecting it because they still see no evidence. And Biden's also going to win this part of the debate because mail-in ballots have been around for decades, right? So all of a sudden they're now not valid, even though they helped you get elected in 2016. I mean, even he votes by mail. He votes by mail. So is his ballot valid and others are not just because they don't vote for him?
So something that I actually did see is I'm pretty sure there were thousands of mail-in ballots. I think it was in the state of Pennsylvania that were denied because they put them in the wrong envelope. People put them in the wrong envelope.
Is that video where I saw where the guy's car was full of them?
It might have been, but yeah, they've been discarding a good amount of mail-in ballots because of how they've been being sent. People haven't been following the directions and aren't educated on how to properly do it.
Those instructions should have been on the ballots, though.
Yeah, they are.
All right, well, that's just people being dumb then. But I can't wait to hear Republicans call this out for, oh, look, they're stealing the ballots and throwing them away, and try and spin it off that. I know Trump's going to use that.
But Biden, how he conducts this debate is going to be important because he has low expectations set for him, and he has all these issues that he can work off of and attack the president on. Is he going to be able to present it in a way that is going to appeal to the American people, and is he going to be strong enough on Donald Trump? Because Donald Trump's going to come with him with every accusation possible. He's going to attack him. He's going to call him Sleepy Joe Biden. He's going to talk about Hunter Biden. He's going to attack his family and stuff. He's going to try everything he can. He's just going to throw the whole thing out so he can look like he won the debate and make Joe Biden look even worse than what people think of him now.
See, yeah, it's really all going to come down to if Joe can keep his composure and not like stumble over his words. If he can keep his composure and dominate, because he's going to dominate at least 3 of the 6 talking points, just because Trump doesn't really have anything concrete to defend himself without lying. And I don't remember if they were actually going to use live fact checkers, but I know Biden wanted to have live fact checkers. They're not?
No.
Okay. Because if that was the case, then Trump is definitely going to be piled into the ground on those 3 topics. But it's really this whole debate on who wins this debate is going to come down to how long Biden can keep his composure for those 90 minutes and how well he can stay well spoken that entire time.
Yeah, and the whole thing with politics, it's not necessarily always what reality is. It's how they present it and how they message it. It's not exactly what's the message. It's like how do they spin the message to favor them? And this whole debate is going to be who can spin the message better to favor their cause.
Yeah, that is definitely right. I agree with that. So, what alternatively could have Biden or Trump win is if they just start fighting on stage. We discussed this before. We found the topic hilarious, where if they just started beating the shit out of each other on stage.
Honestly, besides this debate, we should just let them fight it out. Give them boxing gloves, put them in a ring, let them fight it out.
Problem is, I think they'd both get heart attacks. They're too old. They're just too old.
So disqualify them. If they both get heart attacks, they're no longer fit to run. They're not really the most fit to run right now, neither of them, because they're so old.
Kamala versus Pence.
Oh.
That's a topic for next week, because that's next week's debate.
Yeah. That's going to be interesting, but we're not talking about that right now.
Yeah, no.
I really hope that Biden challenges Trump to a push-up contest and calls him fat.
He probably can't even push himself off the ground with his arms fully extended.
Who knows? Maybe Trump will just surprise us. Maybe he can do a couple push-ups.
Oh God! Don't scare me.
And the other thing with this debate is, remember how Trump was asking for a drug test?
Oh yeah, like what? You think Biden's on cocaine or something? Like what? His prescription meds might show up, but like, what are you trying to prove here? You're most likely on prescription medication too.
Oh yeah, and then both of them are. They're both on something. I'm sure Trump's on cocaine or something.
No. That's his son. That's his son. Remember?
Yeah. I wouldn't mind if they're on drugs. Put them on drugs. It'll be more interesting because if they're not on drugs, they're going to be sleepy and they're going to be boring. And put them on drugs.
That's fair. All right.
Put them on whatever you can. Yeah, so basically, all we know is the debates tomorrow, they're going to be crazy. They're going to be nuts. Most likely, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it will be. I don't know. It depends what strategy Trump wants to take and how far he goes. But that's all we have for you guys today. We would talk more, but we are a little bit time limited here. Again, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We are the Political Pundits. Yes, we are two dicks.